In this video, we're going to examine the second argument in the A Brief Argument for Christianity video. The argument goes as follows. Anything that depends on another for its existence doesn't have existence in itself. Any composite being depends on its parts for its existence. Therefore, no composite being has existence in itself. Now, starting with the first premise, remember that the last time we defined existence merely as that which makes something different from nothing. So you can rephrase depends on another for its existence as depends on another for its differentiation from nothing. And you could rewrite the first premise as anything that depends on another for its differentiation from nothing doesn't have that which differentiates it from nothing in itself. The reason for this should become clear. If something is already differentiated from nothing in itself, then nothing other than itself can make it no longer different from nothing. In other words, if what makes X different from nothing is itself, then it will remain different from nothing regardless of what something other than itself begins to do, like such as beginning to exist, cease to exist, or ceasing to be a part of a whole. Now, the second premise might be more controversial, but St. Thomas Aquinas puts it this way. Aristotle, therefore, thus shows the cause why no mobile moves itself. It is because there cannot be a first mobile whose motion does not depend on its parts any more than the first being can be divisible. For the existence of any divisible depends on the parts. Hence, this conditional is true. If the part is not being moved, neither is the whole, just as this one is true. If the part does not exist, the whole does not. It seems that it is the fact that the whole would not exist if the part did not exist, which makes it dependent on its parts for its existence. If you just consider the reasoning we went over for the first premise, this should become obvious. If the whole has existence in itself, then it would exist irregardless of whether the parts exist. The whole would already be distinguished from nothing in virtue of itself. But since the whole would not exist unless the parts were united in a whole, it follows that the whole is not distinguished from nothing in virtue of itself. So, of course, the conclusion ultimately follows that whatever has existence in itself is non-composite. Now, I've noticed a lot of confusion surrounding this argument. What if there is just an infinite regress of composites? Well, again, if you go back to argument 1, premise 2, you'll realize that's not ever going to be a complete explanation, because in that case, none of the members of the series would have existence in itself. You would have to go outside of the infinite regress of composite beings in order to get to something non-composite which has existence in itself. Someone imagine, on the other hand, that what follows from this is that there is an ultimately, or are many ultimately, absolutely simple parts of a thing which distinguishes the whole from nothing. That doesn't necessarily follow either, and in fact, it isn't even a possibility if you continue through the rest of my arguments. Argument 4 actually shows this by showing that there can only be one such non-composite thing. You need at least two non-composite beings to unify them into a whole as composites. There are also several arguments for the infinite divisibility of space and the things in motion in Aristotle's physics, which I'm not going to get into here, but would also rule this out. All that said, the argument technically only proves what has existence in itself is non-composite. My goal here isn't so much to prove that atomism isn't true, but merely that whatever has existence in itself is non-composite. Thanks for watching.